Several recent polls have the Conservatives ahead of the Labour Party, including a YouGov survey which suggested the Tories are now 4 points in front. This despite all the infighting, ongoing austerity and the government's handling of Brexit. To tell us where the Labour Party is going wrong, it's the voice of Conservative Britain, Geoff Norcott.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Geoff, you seem pleased.
No, it's brilliant. I'm really enjoying it. Labour are so shit.
Right. I know it's unusual for the party in opposition to be behind at any time, let alone during the sort of current turmoil.
It's weird, isn't it? I mean, Corbyn was massive last year. This year, nothing. He's like fidget spinners, isn't he? He's... or Pokemon Go. There's old Corbachew there, which does sound strangely Russian, like most of his ideas. I think, you know, ultimately, a lot of the problems come from the Labour membership, you know. They're stuck with Corbyn, the Labour Party, and he knows that. Like all British workers, when they know they cannot be sacked, you kick back a bit, don't you? You sort of phone it in. Yeah. He's just sitting there thinking, the membership love me. I don't need to think of any coherent ideas. I'll just sit here and Google recipes for chutney, you know what I mean?
Labour have youth on their side. I mean, we all remember the sort of great youth quake at the last general election.
Yeah, and it turns out that youth quake didn't really happen. Youth vote only went up by 2.5%, so, you know, that's millennials, mate. Couldn't even be asked to turn up to their own statistic.
OK. But the surge in party membership, that can't be ignored.
No, that's their biggest problem, because you only had to be a Labour Party member for 30 seconds and you got to vote for their leader. It's harder to vote on Strictly than it is for Labour leader.
Do you think that their stance on Brexit is helping?
No, I don't think Strictly have a stance on Brexit.
OK, right. Look, any other areas of concern?
Yeah, Labour have also become increasingly identified with, like, identity politics.
Sure.
They had this conference up north, which initially they planned to charge white people more to attend, which is sort of a great way of offending everybody, isn't it? Speaking of which, there's also been a row over the Young Labour Equalities Conference, where if you're a straight, white, able-bodied male, you can't attend. Yeah. Who's going to put away the chairs, you know?
I mean, I don't know, Geoff.
I mean, if there's one thing white guys can do, we can put away a chair, Nish. I mean... Don't take that away from us.
As a representative of the Asian community, I'll say we'll give it a go. we seem to have done all right with medicine.
Yeah. All right, fair enough, fair enough. But they've also got a problem with the shadow cabinet. I mean, you've got, like, McDonnell, you've got Diane Abbott, Emily Thornberry, all of whom seem like sort of liabilities to much of
well,
Middle
Geoff,
England.
you say liabilities. May I remind you that our current Foreign Secretary is Boris Johnson?
Agreed. But the alternative is Emily Thornberry. I mean, she seems like a laugh, but she also seems a couple of bottles of Cava and she could start a missile crisis. It's like one heavy lunch, we could be balls deep in Yemen.
I mean, I'm not sure how that's different from our current policy, but anyway, continue.
You know what? I'll tell you the thing, actually, their biggest problem is, in terms of personality, a lot of people focus on Corbyn. I think it's John McDonnell. Let's have a look at the man himself. Looking scary as ever. He's a shadow chancellor, and some would say a raging communist. You know, he's a shadow chancellor. He doesn't even like money. That's like putting a vegan in charge of the barbecue. Great, everyone's getting grilled red peppers tonight. No lamb chops for anybody. That's how socialism works, basically.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that really?
Yeah, that is exactly how socialism works.
OK, you can't just say that. You have to back this up. What has he done to make you think that he's some sort of secret revolutionary?
Loads. He stood in front of communist flags at a May Day rally. He was filmed giving a talk at a Marxist training camp. And you know that poster all lefties have of Che Guevara? Right. Yeah, his is signed. Yeah. His safe word is Stalin.
OK. If he's such a radical, why are businesses queuing up to have lunch with him?
Well, basically, CEOs want to know exactly how long they've got before they've got to flee the country, you know? Come on, Nish, if Piers Morgan became Director-General of the BBC, you'd have a little lunch, wouldn't you? Find out where his head's at. I mean... Build some bridges.
Yeah, with Piers Morgan, I'm pretty sure I know exactly where his head is at, and,
Nice.
Look, Geoff, not that you'd want to help them, but do you have any advice on how Labour can get themselves out of this mess?
Well, yeah, I do have a few things. It's number one, just forget about the Northerners, you know? You'll never keep them happy. It's actually impossible. Just cut them adrift and focus on the NutriBullet wankers down south. That would be my advice.
OK, anything else that doesn't somehow manage to offend the entire country?
Yeah, bring back Ed Miliband. That would be the...
OK, so you think he'd do better?
No, I just think it'd be a laugh.
Right. I'm not having this, Geoff. Before you go, I want one constructive piece of advice. That's what you said you'd come here to do. We want one piece of advice.
OK, look, I'd just be honest about who Jeremy Corbyn is. Just say, yes, he does want to leave the EU. And we know he's just an old trot who likes pissing about in the allotment, knitting protest banners and blaming Thatcher because his telly doesn't work.
OK, come on, Geoff. Corbyn at least has captured people who weren't necessarily engaged in politics before. I mean, look at Grime for Corbyn. Look at that as a movement.
No, the youth stuff is bollocks, right? He doesn't know jack shit about grime music, yeah? When they said Stormzy's coming, he said, oh, better get the washing in then.
Ladies and gentlemen, Geoff Norcott!
There you go, thank you.
Geoffrey?